people over.
Good evening. It is Wednesday, December 1st. This is a meeting of the Board of Education's Operations Committee. We do have, as I think many of you know, 3 committees for the Board of Ed. Operations Committee is one. We have not yet met in Operations Committee since the election. So I, as the chair of the board, am going to be running this meeting, and we will at our next regular Operations Committee meeting that committee will be internally electing a chair moving forward for the next year. Tonight is a public forum on considerations for the budget. We do not yet have a Board of Education budget draft for next year. That is something that we as a board will receive at the beginning of January. The administrators within each of our schools have been working very hard putting one together and working with Dr. Freeman and other of our administrators. And so at that time, we will have a proposed budget that we will be considering. And at the end of January, we will hold 2 public forums 2 days in a row to make sure that we can accommodate as many people as possible, at which time folks can comment on some of the specifics of the draft budget in front of them. So tonight is really about hearing from the public about things that you would like the Board of Education and Guilford Public Schools to consider as this budget is put together for this year. We have a number of people in the room, so I am going to ask people to try to limit their comments to 3 minutes so that everyone here has a chance to speak. I am going to just remind folks that this is in fact a meeting on the budget, so that please limit your comments to budget considerations or considerations for programming, etc. That would be budget considerations for next year. I think that's it. I guess the last thing I'll just mention is we may ask you, I may ask you a clarification question if something you're talking about is not clear, but we are not as a board going to be discussing any of the proposals that you make tonight. This is purely a night for you to have your voices heard. We have many meetings over the next few months in which we will be discussing things that come up tonight, proposals that come to us from the administration. We have already received several emails from folks wanting us to consider things for the budget if they couldn't come tonight. So there'll be a lot of opportunities to hear us discussing those things, but tonight is really your night for communicating. So I am going to ask that anyone interested in addressing the board come up to the podium. We're going to ask you to give us your name and street address so that can be kept for the minutes. Again, I'm going to ask you to stick to 3 minutes so that your fellow neighbors and community members here each have a chance to speak. And so we can start right away.
Dr. Ellis Tracy, there's a pad and a pen at the podium. So if you would write down your name and address as well as stating it, that would facilitate the creation of the minutes later.
Wonderful. And right, the last thing, thank you so much, everyone, for respecting the mask rule. If you are at the podium and it's more comfortable to take it off to speak, or you think it's better for being heard, we are live streaming this meeting. Feel free, and then just please put it right back on before returning to your seat. Thank you.
I'm starting, thank you. So hi, my name is Leslie Powell. I'm at 40 Mooseville Road in Guilford, and I'm co-president of Guilford High School Music Boosters. We're a very active group and support the music program at GHS and generally in the district. We have a large membership, parents and advocates of the music program, and I'm here today representing the board and all of our members, and I appreciate the opportunity. So I'm here because some of you will recall that last spring, the Board of Ed considered eliminating 1 full-time music education position at Adams. And you will remember there was a huge outpouring of public opposition to that cut. And in the end, the decision was made not to eliminate 1.0, but to reduce it to 0.5. While many of us weren't thrilled with that, we were gratified that it heard us and heard how important the music program was to so many people in town and have a good compromise. However, we believe that the statement made by the BOE at the time was that a subsequent reduction of the remaining 0.5 would be under consideration for this year. So I'm here tonight to make it known that there are many people who would be opposed to that were indeed on the table. And not only for the many reasons that were spoken about in the spring so eloquently by so many people, but for a couple of new reasons. The primary one being that this year at Adams, there's a completely new set of music teachers. The band teacher, the orchestra teacher, and the chorus teacher are all new, not just to Adams, but I believe to the district. So even in normal circumstances, it would require time for them to establish a kind of basic stability there in the music department with all the new teachers. But when you layer all of the COVID, limitations and frustrations of the last couple of years that have really negatively impacted the music program, these 3 teachers, as well as the entire district-wide music program, will need more time and extra support to get back to something resembling normal. So making yet another cut to the Adams music teaching staff would further to stabilize things there. Just a quick other secondary note, another reason to maintain the current staffing level is that large ensembles are very large in the music program, and whenever it's possible to have 2 teachers in the room, it's better for everyone. The kids get more attention this way, the teachers can focus on different things. It's funny, but you would never expect a math teacher or social studies teacher to teach 60 students all at the same time, but music teachers do this all the time. So cutting the remaining 0.5 would make it probably impossible for them to ever double up. So that's what I came to say, and we could get into a lot more detail about the hits that the music program has taken due to COVID, but not tonight. So I just respectfully ask that you consider not making these.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Allison Felicio and I live at 80. I have 2 children in Guilford Public Schools. Indy is in 7th grade at Adams and Everly is in 4th grade at Calvary. And I am here tonight because I would love to see some support for more science and social studies. I know that it was a surprise to me when Indy got involved in 2019 that science and social studies are only taught right now for half of the school year. And not only are they only taught for half the school year, but the kids alternate between the 2 every other quarter. And I know that my daughter found that to be like a very disjointed sort of schedule. There was definitely transition time in between quarters where the kids were, kind of getting familiar again with the teachers, getting familiar with the curriculum that they hadn't touched, at all for the previous quarter. I think too that it's sort of a missed opportunity for only half of the students to be enrolled in social studies during like an election season too. I think it's too bad that more of our students can't kind of study that in real time and really, learn what sort of works and what doesn't work, in our election process. And I know too that when Indy got to Adams this year, I was listening to the back to school night presentation from her science teacher, and she said, I really have my work cut out for me with these kids. She said they're coming in and they don't know the basics of scientific measurement. There are other like foundational concepts that they just don't know. And she went on to describe the rest of the curriculum, which sounded so great. She was clearly very enthusiastic about what was to come. And I really had hoped that the kids would have been maybe more prepared, maybe had those foundational concepts covered a bit more involvement, so she could really like hit the ground running with the kids. So Mr. Kimmel, I think he's here. He was executive. He was kind enough to call me a couple of weeks ago and to discuss some of the reasons for the Baldwin schedule, some of the limitations. I know there's all kinds of teacher contract issues. There are obviously budgetary concerns. There are scheduling issues. There's only so much that we can do, and I know you just can't have everything. But I think think of science and social studies as core subjects, just as language arts and math are. And I'm kind of surprised, it almost says something to me about district priorities that I just don't agree with. To have science and social studies be, taught at only half the time of language arts and math. And I would really like to see that evened out. Really benefit, and I think that it would just lay the foundation so much more for the complex work that they have to do in Adams and at the high school. And I know that it's an area of interest for so many kids. I mean, I was not a science person, so for me to be up here advocating for more science is sort of ironic. However, my kids really enjoy it, and I know that there's so many like that. So I am hoping that that's something that we can work on, and even if it's not every day as often, even if the kids were doing science and social studies every other day. So there's not quite so much lag time between these subjects. It really do require, I think, consistency.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lynn Stachlis, and I live at 33 Seaside Avenue in Wesley region. I'm here to request funding assistance for the Guilford sailing program. First, let me tell you about the Guilford sailing team. We just started this fall. It started September 20th, and what these kids accomplished in 2 months is truly amazing. We have a coach, Haley Brown. She is from UVM. She sailed there in college. She coached Branford High School.
Thanks very
She
much.
also coaches Yale University on the weekends, and now she is our sailing coach. We have a team of 8 talented sailors and co-captains Sam and Jack Kramer. We sail at Guilford Yacht Club, which they donated the venue for us. And Sachems Head Yacht Club loaned us the coach boat and the floating docks for our boats that are leased. We practice 3 days a week at Guilford Yacht Club, and the bus will stop at the end so the kids can get to practice. And this fall was great because we were able to participate in scrimmages with at Petticoat Yacht Club with Xavier, and we also traveled to 4 regattas. October 16th and 17th of this year was really busy weekend for us. We had 2 regattas, and we also had a clinic. And Coach Haley had an open sailing clinic for high school students and middle school students. And it was great for them to learn about the Guilford Sailing Club. The turnout was great. We had about 10 to 15 kids. 7 of them were girls in middle school, and they're coming up and hopefully will participate in the fall. And we had 1 sophomore who started. He went to that clinic and started practice that following week and joined and was part of the regattas. We also had a regatta on the 17th, the Catholic Cup at Black Rock, and Chris Harr and Jackson Stachlis finished within the middle of the pack. And we actually beat Xavier. And then also our co-captain Jack Kramer and our lead skipper Ike Schutz placed 2nd place in the New England qualifiers. And those are from schools that are all over New England, Maine, Cape Cod, which was a huge accomplishment for these boys. And then that sent them on to nationals. So the Great Oaks National Regatta at Southern Yacht Club in New Orleans, they just participated in that November 20th and 21st. And it was a 2-day regatta, and Jack Kramer and Ike, they raced against 28 teams from all around the US, Texas, Michigan, Minnesota, North Carolina, New Orleans, and they finished in 3rd place. And that was a huge accomplishment for the whole team. We plan on having 2 more sailing clinics, one in the spring because sailing really is a spring season. And then we have another clinic focused on in August for the upcoming freshmen and other students who have an interest. And that, basically summarizes our fall season. We look forward to our spring season, and bottom line, the kids had fun. We got out in the water during COVID times, and then I'll hand it over to. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Sam Taskisa. I live at 55 Ocean View Road in Connecticut. what I wanted to talk about tonight was the interest in the school. It is not just the eight of us. As the fall season is a really busy season for a lot of sports in the school, we weren't able to obtain the membership that we had talked about and that I saw in organizing our membership sign-up form, which garnered about 15 people interested, and talking to 10 to 15 other students who didn't fill out the form due to other sport complications. There is interest in the school, and there are people who are playing soccer, football, or other sports who are interested in joining the team. It's not just us, and we are hopeful to have them join the team in the fall. Coming with that, though, does mean more money.
My name is Jack Kramer. I live at 82 River Street, Guilford.
Yeah, I'm gonna invite you, if you would like to speak and then fill that out afterwards, so you
Okay.
don't feel interrupted, feel
Okay.
free.
So we believe as a team that funding would help us get out on the water safer, with better equipment to use, so we can grow our team for generations to come. We feel that the funding is important because our safety needs to be more in check. We need better coach boats, and we honestly would benefit from a second coach, especially if our team does grow as much as we believe it's going to, with the interest that we have seen. So.
Thank you.
I like shoots. I live at 8 Indian Road in Guilford, Connecticut. I come from the team as someone who's been sailing a lot before, and I think the team is great for allowing kids to get in the water who are not quite diehard competitive people, but they want to just get in the water and have some fun after school. It's nice because everyone is very inclusive, and it's not a super strict race program where everyone feels like they can't do it because they don't know how to race the boats that fast. And it's nice because it's pretty comfortable for people to just go out and have fun. It's nice also for the school because it gives schools some publicity for going out to bigger events, and a lot of people hear what Guilford has to offer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Quick question for clarification. What's the primary season? Is it fall or spring?
Fall is like the primary season gets a lot warmer and it's easier to get out, but there's also a pretty good season in spring.
And second, Jack and I, great job.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, congratulations.
You know what I might suggest too? I wonder if we put the pad
On the bookshelf to
on
the
the
side.
bookshelf behind, and then after
Thank you very
each of-
much.
Yeah, thanks so much. After you speak, if you go, and then we can, people don't feel so interrupted when they're trying to speak. Go ahead.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, good thing.
My name is Wesley Kane. I'm at 54 Old Quarry Road in Guilford. I'm the treasurer and secretary of the Guilford Sailing Foundation. 2 years ago, before the foundation existed, several community members came to this meeting and requested funding to start a sailing team. That request was denied, and with that denial, the foundation was formed. Those community members plus others got together, felt the need to support youth sailing, and set the goal to raise enough money to start the team, and then to run the team for at least 2 years independently. A lot of hard-won fundraising, and through some great community donations of boats, docks, and space that Lynn talked about, we've reached our goal to run the team for 2 years. We're going to continue raising funds going forward, but the team isn't self-sufficient just based on activity fees. So we'd like to ask the BOE to consider joining the ranks of the other community fund for the community members who have helped our funding by allocating $5,000 from the budget this year and each year going forward towards our team. We hope we can find your support and thanks for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, members of the Guilford Board of Education. My name is Brown Jacobson, and I'm a junior at Guilford High School. My address is 1470 Long Hill Road. It is an honor to be able to speak in front of you tonight representing Guilford High School Girls Swim and Dive Team. Tonight, my teammates and I stand here before you to discuss the need for additional funding of approximately $8,700 to be distributed in the 2022-23 Board of Education budget to pay for the assistant coach and pool fees. Spreadsheets for the exact amounts have been presented to both Dr. Freeman and Mr. Jarvis by the Guilford Girls Swim and Dive Booster Club. Based on the number of girls that have been joining the team, it is important for the development of the program to be able to support the funding for an assistant coach. And while we do not get the fanfare of other sports in town, we are now back-to-back Division II SEC champions, finished 5th overall in our SEC championships and 3rd overall in Class M states. This season, many school records were broken in swimming and diving as a result of the hard work and dedication of the team. And many of the girls coming back have signed on to the Stingrays swim program in an effort to be even more competitive for next fall. Therefore, we are both optimistic and excited about the future of our program. This year, we had 20 swimmers and 3 divers participating in the program, with only 5 seniors graduating. We anticipate the participation will grow to 25 swimmers and 5 divers for 2022. This is why we are asking for the extra funds, which are so important for the Guilford swim team, to continue to develop and grow and representing the best of Guilford High School. I will now ask some of my teammates to come up and share their experiences. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Evelyn Bertolini, and I live at Cherry Street. I'm a freshman on the team, and I can say that being on the Guilford High School swimming and diving team has been one of the best things in my life in the recent years. My view is biased, but I truly think this is one of the best and most supportive teams at GHS. As a freshman, I joined this team and immediately felt welcomed and supported by my coaches and teammates. Being on this team has been incredible, but there is one downside. The swim team in particular is often under-recognized, with some students at GHS not even aware there is a swim team. This year, we became SEC Division II champions for the second year in a row, placed third at state championships, and even sent a relay to state open, so you're right, you said. While all of this was happening, the school continuously supported and recognized other teams, while the swim team was often overlooked. I hope that in the future years that we can worry less about who used to do the sport we love and more about having fun, working hard, and supporting each other. My name is Serena, and I'm a sophomore, and I live at 63 Maple Crest, Connecticut. Being part of this team is super important to me because it gives me an opportunity to see all my close friends and teammates outside of school. I'm so proud of the team's success with me last year. We went from winning 0 meets and losing 13 to winning SECs 2 years in a row. I think I can speak for everyone when I say that our team has made it so far with conjoined team and parent effort and without much funding.
Hi, I'm Sophia, and I'm a sophomore, and I live on one person in South Africa. I think it's safe to say that we do not have supported associations as other sports are. Our team has been SEC Division champions 2 years in a row, and our team's accomplishments are greatly acknowledged in the school emails, announcements, etc. We deserve more recognition. I'm tremendously from having 18 swimmers and 0 divers for 2020. $500 multiple fundraising. That's still not managed to keep our team. We are now listening.
Hi, my name is Chloe, and I'm a freshman at Guilford High School. I live at 64 Davis Drive. I count myself very lucky to be a part of the GHS girls swim team because it is an extremely welcoming, friendly, and supportive group of girls with a shared passion for their sport. Unfortunately, this comes with a few school and funding related downsides, which my fellow teammates have shared already. While our coach is phenomenal, individual technique coaching and improvement is not always possible when our coach is managing over 20 girls at meets and practices. This setback will only continue to grow next year with all the freshmen who are lined up to creating a team of over 25 swimmers and making even more of creating for additional coaches. We as a team are very proud of our performance record that we trained and fought for under our school name. We believe that we are just as deserving of the recognition and funding that many other school teams receive. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to advocate for the GHS Girls Swimming and Diving Program.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
all.
much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chris Ward, 378 Willow Road here in Guilford. Happy holidays and congrats to those of you newly elected or re-elected to your positions. Thanks for all your work here. 8 years ago, my wife and I decided to move to Connecticut, and we looked at 3 towns, and I can say 8 years on, we picked the very best one because of the education system. Thank you very much. I represent the 40 to 45 student athletes and their families in the ice hockey programs at Guilford. I am the president of the boys booster club, and I am the father of both a freshman girl and a junior boy. So I'm related to both of them and represent the 40 to 45 families. And what I wanted to bring to light tonight was really 2 facts about the way that the hockey program is funded. The first, I'll share that since 2000, the Board of Education granted funding to the hockey program. I'll speak to the boys program, it has a little more history. That amount has remained unchanged in dollar terms over the 21 years that have passed since then. During that time, you can imagine that ice costs, we rent ice time at Northford Ice Pavilion, at East Haven, at various rinks, has gone up at 3.2% per year. So you can imagine that constant funding, ice costs go up, you can kind of see the delta that's created. What it results in is that today, 21 years on, just 21% of the funding for the high school hockey program comes from the Board of Education at the high school. So 79% is coming from the families. So what kind of numbers are we talking about? What does that check families are writing as questions probably in mind? To run a high school hockey team, given the ice time that's involved, the practice, the games and all that, is about $50,000. Big sum of money. The team is left with raising or funding, writing our own checks for $40,000. Now we have about 40 families between that, 2 teams, you can do the math. What it works out to is each family is expected to write a check for $1,900. $1,900 for a Guilford public high school ice hockey. So not feeling entirely comfortable with asking people to write that check for $1,900, we take them out. Vigorous fundraising. And I mean nonstop fundraising. Our student athletes are probably learning as much about salespersonship as they are about athletics. In that, and I'm a little embarrassed, nobody wants to be my neighbor. My neighbor reads, mums, mulch, poinsettias. Right now, we're hustling ads across 600 businesses on the shoreline. I was in 6 businesses today trying to get $35 ads sold and all that. And through all those efforts across 40 odd players, we're able to reduce that $1,900 a bit by $400 or $500. So the net on that is this year we're asking on the boys side, we're asking to write a check for $1,400 to play Guilford High School ice hockey. That's a little bit tough. So we asked ourselves, and this is fact number 2 that I'll leave with tonight, is so did our benchmarking, and we talked to the other teams with which the boys team competes in SEC, CIAC Division II. There are about 20 teams there. We managed to get 16 of them to respond. Out of those 16, 13 are 100% funded by the towns. So 81% are 100% funded. Our team is in that minority and writing $1,400 to $1,900 checks. So we think that history, is have recorded history and small club and all that, but I think it's really old issue. We just haven't put our eye on the ice hockey budget for a long time. And so it's really come time to, as we think about the success of the program and kind of the, I don't want to say survivability, but the ongoing health of the program, we'd like to open the sport up to more people. We love it when a new student athlete comes to us and says, heck yeah, I'd like to give that a try. You can imagine a parent saying, what does that cost? That next answer is a doozy, $1,900. No, I think we're going to try something different, right? Maybe we take on the sport. So we'd like to open it up. We think the character building in the sport is fantastic. That's what I'll leave you with, and thank you for your attention tonight, is when you think about sports, a multi-sport athlete can have a background in different areas. And when you think about ice hockey, it's one of the rare sports where moving around on the field of play isn't a given. In effect, it reduces you to kind of being in, right? You can't walk, can't crawl, you kind of figure it all out. And that character building you get on a sheet of ice, learning to stand, learning to hockey stop, learning to skate is phenomenal. We love the character building of that sport, and we'd like to increase access to more students by making it more economic. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was-
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board tonight? Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Good evening. My name is Erin Easier. I live at 34 North Madison Road here in town, and I am coming in favor of supporting the Guilford Lakes Playground project. Wanted to make you aware, I am the volunteer chairperson for the project. The playgrounds at Guilford Lakes are in desperate need of replacement and renovation. They are over 20 years of age and in just continual need of repair or different components coming out of service and putting our children at risk. We are the last of 4 elementary schools in town to get a new playground, as all of the other playgrounds or other schools and PTOs have fundraised to support a new playground renovation there. And we have a tremendous momentum. We've had a campaign that began in 2019, just before COVID, and then really stalled out and was unable to fundraise due to just the pandemic and all the considerations for our community at the time. So we have really come back this fall and are facing increased costs due to just COVID supply chain demands and such, and compression, especially as the need for the playground and all of the feasibility studies were done originally in 2018, 2019, and we were given an estimated budget at that time of about $200,000. What makes our playground very unique is that we are the home to the all-district preschool program, and thus we need to be sure that we have different playscape components who serve all abilities and different age ranges for safety purposes. So I come today asking that the district consider supporting the preschool all-district playscape as a part of the greater Guilford Lakes Playground renovation project. We will be back to give some updates on our fundraising, but I want to share that we have great momentum, and our community currently at this very moment has over $70,000 raised, and we currently have a matching donor right now who is willing to match us up to $25,000 as we increase and work toward our fundraising goal for the larger elementary school playscape of $105,000. So we appreciate the consideration of this request, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
At 570 that plane, I'm joining Aaron to support the school project. I have 2 kids at Guilford Lake. My son is in the special education program. He's there because he tends to bounce off the walls, and right now he's bouncing off of a very unsafe playground. There is a small Fisher Price house that sits at the Guilford Lake preschool playground. It's, climb on the roof and jump off of it. It would be great to have the safety structure and all of the other wonderful, more appropriate pieces of equipment for the preschoolers. As a family member of an older child of the Guilford Lakes Elementary School, I'm more than happy to write the check to support that playground. I've already done so and bought my bricks and doing all of that work. But I do think that it's important to note that there are different needs for the 2 different playgrounds, and that's why Aaron and Dr. Kuhn had the conversation about Board of Education really stepping up and supporting the district-wide special education playground. As a parent of one of the children, I really appreciate
appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Amy Craig, and I live at 372 White Bush Drive. I am here to show my support also for the district to provide cost-sharing funding for the preschool playground, all district preschool playground, as part of the larger playground renovation project at Guilford Lakes, and hope that you will include this in our 2022-2023 budget.
Thank you.
My name is Courtney Hesh, Road, Guilford. I have 3 children in the Guilford Lake system. One's a third grader and a kindergartner, and then one in the special ed PPA program. So I've had the opportunity over the last 8 years with my 8-year-old to watch the playground deteriorate to where our bridges and slides aren't working at all. And now I've got the opportunity to watch my preschooler, who also is playing on a deteriorating playground. So it'd be great to have funding and cost sharing for the preschool playground, and we will consider our request.
Thank you.
I should have asked this with the first speaker regarding this. Is there an amount for the preschool place or a ballpark figure or something? Perhaps you've shared it with Dr. Freeman already, in which case, but as you can imagine, having that is a helpful thing as we consider.
Certainly. I'm in a ballpark right now.
That's fine.
But about $130,000,
For the preschool part of it.
which includes some port in place safety surfacing, which really makes it an all abilities friendly playground.
Okay, and so the whole pack for the whole playground is 200,000 and 130 of it is this.
It's going to be about $140,000.
Escalation.
Or excuse me,
240
Okay,
for the.
okay, thank you. Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you. Very helpful. I
you.
appreciate, sorry to make you come up again.
We'll have more to come.
No, and I appreciate that, but even just a ballpark is helpful as we take in information. Thanks so much.
I am Jackie McCarthy. I live at 223 Briarwood Drive. I have 2 children at Lakes Elementary School, kindergartner and second grader. I'm also here to voice my support for the cost sharing initiative of the playground project. I joined the committee for fundraising for the playground in February of 2021. And in that time, I have come to view playgrounds as so much more than just recess. It's a lot. I've had discussions with Ms. Mancini, who is the social worker at Lakes, and she really explained to me that children approach playgrounds very, very differently. And for some, it is a very stressful area for them. Play does not come naturally. We have designed the playground in such a way to reduce some of those stressors on children. One example is we have a clubhouse, which is filled with sensory panels. Excuse me, panels.
Go ahead, you're fine.
And Liz explained that that was a really special thing because children can be next to each other, exploring independently, and yet with that proximity, it kind of allows cooperative play to come more naturally to them. We also spoke with the school's physical therapist. We spoke with the preschool staff. We think we've really done our research on the preschool playground and what would make that a much more appropriate playground, as some of my colleagues have said. In the past couple of years, we really have spent time, energy, and funding on social emotional wellness. And I think that physical wellness is the next step in whole child development and in providing that for our elementary school children. So with that in mind, that's fine.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I'm Kara Price. I live 60 Laurel Cliffs Road. I'm also here to support the playground project at Guilford Lakes. We understand that playgrounds are normally paid for by the community that attends that school. But like Melissa said, the Guilford Lakes community is different because the playground for the preschool supports the entire community.
Thank you very
Sure,
much.
thank you. Is there anyone else this evening who would like to address the board for budget considerations as we dive deeper into planning for next year? No? Oh.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny Shea, and I live at 110 North Madison Road, and I'm a parent of 2 children. And also here to support our playground project and hope that there's room in next year's budget to support our preschool playground. Living so close to the school, I can definitely see how much this playground is loved. Not just during school, I hear the sounds of children playing outside, but also after school. And certainly on weekends, there are always sports games there, play dates, families gathering. So it really is a place where people come together, not just in our Lakes community, but from other schools, from other towns who are playing there for sports. So it's a wonderful place. And I hope you'll consider our request. I also want to pivot for Deke. I think that's a hockey term. After hearing this wonderful speech about your consideration of also helping to fund the Guilford hockey program, my children also play hockey, and they love it so much that I can see them playing in high school. I also I believe wholeheartedly that it is a sport that builds teamwork, resilience in each of the hockey players. I've seen that positive effect in both of my children, and want that to be accessible for anyone who is curious in playing the sport, because it is very costly. So I think the theme here is accessibility for the playground, for hockey, and thank you for your time and consideration.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
My name is Todd Arnold. I live at 372 Briarwood Drive. Playground, and I am the only dad here. And with the pressure that I got, there was no way I was going to be able to remain seated. So I don't have anything prepared except for defense. But in all honesty, I think one of the things that resonates with me is our daughter Emily is a first grader at Lakes and absolutely loves it. But it was interesting, the first day she came back, she goes, "Daddy, I've been to a lot of playgrounds, but Lakes has this pylon in it." And I'm like, "Well, what's the pylon for?" It's part of the playground you can't use. So it's kind of odd as an elementary school that has part of a playground that you can't use. And I think one of the things that was amazing to me is the passion with which Aaron and the team have put together in getting funding around this, and the amount of work that's gone in to solicit from local businesses and try to get support for this. I think the thing that's most important, at least in my perspective of Lakes, that's unique is the pre-K program, is district-wide. And I think it's really important that we remain in focus as we consider budget for this particular very important program. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Going once? There will, please know, for people who are unable to be here tonight, we did the board receive maybe 8 emails from, or went through the school email regarding the Guilford Lakes Playground. Maybe some duplicates of people who speak tonight or not, but just to let the public know that. And did receive an email, although Mr. Ward was here again tonight as well, on the Guilford High School hockey team. And for folks who were not able to join us, our emails are all posted on the Guilford Public Schools website. So as this process of budget consideration moves on through the winter, folks can email us at any time. I'm just going to take a couple minutes to provide a little bit of information about the process moving forward. So we will be meeting and have for many years done this, meeting with the Board of Finance before the final draft budget. That's not really fair. The first draft budget is presented to us. This is something we've done for a number of years and it really gives the Board of Finance, members of the Board of Finance, a heads up about what we're thinking about and allows them to ask some questions and really gives us an opportunity early on to have discussions with them about what we think is going to be very important. We will meet with the district leadership. We, the board, will meet with the district leadership. We will get, as I noted already, our budget books at the beginning of January. We'll hold two, as I mentioned already, two public forums at the end of January. And then we'll be throughout that time and certainly after that time proceeding with deliberations among the board. We will find ourselves asking Dr. Freeman, Mrs. Trudeau, other members of the administration questions as we consider different options. Please know that there wasn't an idea that was brought to us tonight that isn't a great idea. It can be pretty tough if we find ourselves having to make some choices based on either a number of different requests, things we have to already consider internally, and with the knowledge that about 80% of our budget every year is for staff and benefits. So a lot of what we're talking about tonight is kind of the 20% on the other end. So that is not to discourage anyone, but just to try to give everyone a sense of the kinds of things that we need to consider moving forward. If you leave the room and think of things you want to say or didn't quite have what you needed to get up and speak at the podium, again, feel free to reach out to us. And thank you for being here tonight. We are charged with making decisions for Guilford Public Schools and for the community. And if we hear from you, it makes us better at doing our jobs. So thank you so much. I think I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you.